This is the first of 52 weeks of 52 favourite photos, and it is part of a YouTube hop, so check out what other people are documenting over the year. I have chosen this photo here not because it's in focus, not because it's an amazing photo, but because I love the shoes that I'm wearing in the photo, and also I'm out standing in the backyard helping my husband get the garden ready for the year ahead. It's been quite neglected for the last wee while. He has just had a right total hip replacement, 4 weeks ago, so he's now sort of able to move around a little bit more outside with crutches and is more mobile inside. But I just liked that we were out there getting it ready. We've had a quiet summer at home just because he's recovering, and it's been quite nice to get little jobs like this done around the place. So the album I'm going to document these photos in is the Stampin' Up! 6x8 album, and I'm just playing around here with the size. I'm typically a 12x12 scrapper, but for this, because it's going to be 52 weeks of something, I wanted something simple that I can do a page, do some journaling, and it's not going to be a huge chore as the year progresses. So got the photo. I pulled out some of the Friends of the Ocean Designer Series paper that I'm going to use as the background for the layout. I just love the pinks and the oranges. They tied in really nicely with the shoes that are in that photo there. Now I'm playing around with some of these 6x6, and this 6x6 here that I have pulled out is one of the Plaid ones. It goes with a collection, I think it's part of Storybook, but this is just how you can use 6x6 pages, and I often use a patterned paper in my back, so the back photos, I guess is the way you would say it. And so I thought, well, I'm going to use them here, and there is leftovers, which will be great for using with cards and things like that, but it's not cutting into a whole 12x12 sheet like I did with the Friends of the Ocean. I've also got this Toadstool, I think it's Toadstool Gardens. I'll list what I actually use below and the names of them, but I'm just also going to cut into that to create sort of a mat, like at two pieces, sort of angled on each other to sort of tuck in behind it, as you can see me sort of placing them there. So they are going to be on there like that, and I backed my photo with just some white willow cardstock as well. There was no 6x6 of that, so I did cut into some paper, but I did have some leftovers. Now these are the Mix and Match Memories and More cards. They are part of the new January to April catalogue that's just been released today, which is quite exciting, and I'm just pulling through looking for some possible journaling cards that I can tuck on there. Now the Toadstool Gardens that I used is also actually that's a celebration one, but the other two papers I've used are also part of the new one that's been released today. So find a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator near you and check some of these cool papers and different products that have come out. There's so much new stuff that's come today, and I mentioned celebration, so those Toadstool papers that I use there are, you can get a bunch of 6x6 in the pack, and they are free with orders of 125 New Zealand or more, so it'll be different in different countries. So I'm pulling out, I think it's fully flowering ephemera, and these are the Mix and Match ephemera, and they are part of the annual catalogue, so they should be available till the end of April this year, and they've just got some gorgeous florals and things. They do make for really easy cards, but I also like them for embellishing and tucking behind when I just want to create a nice and simple page. So instead of all the stamping and colouring and things, sometimes it's just nice to be able to grab and go, and keeping it nice and simple. So I'm trying to keep my desk a little bit tidy here. If you saw my space video that I shared recently, you'll see that I've shifted rooms, and it's really nice to have some nice natural light coming in here, in a space that's sort of always set up ready for me to use. Now I'm going to use this mini alphabet die, and I'm going to use it on some ombre pastel glimmer paper, which I've just pulled out here, and there's some gorgeous colours, and I sort of looked to see which ones I'm best to use. I sort of thought maybe I could use the blue or the green, and I just felt blue added a really nice contrast to the rest of the layout. And I'm backing this with some 3D foam. It's a double-sided foam, and I'm going to put it through my little mini die cutting machine with the foam to create some foam letters. It's kind of fun doing this. I've played around with it on another layout that I was working on with a different die, and it came out really cool. I've seen some other Stampin' Up! Demonstrators have a go with it, so I thought, right, I'm going to give this a try. And I'm just trimming down the foam here. I had to flip it around both sides because my trimmer doesn't quite cut through, just because I didn't want too much overlapping. It'll stick to the embossing plates that I'm going to put it through on. So here I'm just lining it up the right length. And with this particular alpha, they're not individual letters, it's a plate or a whole sheet of letters, so you're kind of tied into cutting all of it unless I just put a bit of paper over the letters that I wanted. But I thought, actually, other than the W, X, Y, Z, which are down the bottom row, Y maybe, but the rest of them not quite as much, I'll probably use some of these letters again. And you may have seen in my packet before that I keep the leftover letters in the packet, so after a while I can pull them out. I can do some mixed up colours and different bits and pieces. So because it's a bit thicker, it did take a wee bit to take into the machine, but once it was in there, it rolled through fairly well. And yeah, I decided to roll it through the other way again as well, just to make sure that it had gone through the foam really well. The first time I tried this, I was a little bit skeptical that it would work, but I was quite surprised that it did. And so you can see all the letters there. I was a little bit worried when I looked at the back, but it didn't go through. But that was actually perfect because it just went through on the adhesive. So when I pull the letters out, the adhesive stays behind and I didn't have to work with that. So I first of all pull off the first H, and then I realize I want to add in the year, because I'm going to call this Hello 2025, and there are no letters in no numbers in this alpha. So I'm going to look for one of my stamps, and I found this one here, and it has got some numbers on it. So I'm going to tuck those in. I'm going to work right to left to make sure I've got enough room, because I can always put those letters a little bit closer together if I need to, or spread them out, but just visually I can see that it will fit. So just playing around with those stamps. I started with the 2 and then realized I want 5 because it's the end of the year. So there's my 5, and I'm just using the Memento ink here, and I should be cleaning my stamps between times, but at the moment I'm just getting it done, and I'll go back and clean them a little bit later. And a 0, and I had to look for the 0 because I wasn't sure if it was a 0 or an O, but one of them was a little bit skinnier than the other, so I figured that was the number, and it fits quite nicely with those numerals that I've already got. So there we have 2025 stamped in, and now I can go back to pulling out those gorgeous glittery alpha. So the photos that I took of this layout don't really show off the gorgeous sparkles and shimmer that this has. It's a really nice glimmer, or a really nice glittery paper to use, because it doesn't flake all the glittery bits off like some do when you cut them. They hold together really nicely. It's just got that just the right level of grain and shine and sparkle to add a little bit of interest. So there we have Hello 2025, and that is all ready now for me to stick the top part together, and this is where it gets a little bit challenging. Can I recreate what was there? So I'm just taping these down and popping them back on before I'm going to crinkle up all of the edges and things like I normally do at the end. So there we have the photo. Now I'm just using the 3D foam shapes here to do it, and then I realize I've got that leftover 3D foam sheet from when I did the alpha, so I thought actually that'll be perfect. I'm just going to tuck that on here and use it here instead. So that did tie up perfectly. Now I wanted that lifted up a wee bit because I want to tuck in some of those floral embellishments and this journaling card, but I realized the journaling cards are going to need to be tucked under more than where I put the foam tape, so I decided to go back and put that on before I stick down the photo with the photo mats. So there we have that all tucked on there, and I can now add in the florals. So that one was just able to stick down. However, this one is going to be partly on the photo and partly off the edge, so I put a wee foam dot at the top left and then some adhesive down the bottom, so it's a bit of both, and this wee floral's just tucked on there as well. So here we go, I am ready to add some journaling, just clearing my space a little bit and looking at the glass mat. Now I realise I need to actually clean that down. So I'm just writing a wee note about this photo and what it meant and why I picked it, I guess would be the right way to think about that. And so thinking while I'm writing on there, this is a bit of a challenge this year, a bit of an idea to get the scrapbooking happening. I've done a project 52 where I kind of did a layout of a whole week's photos for a year, and it sort of dropped off partway through the year. So I'm hoping this won't, because it's just simple. It's just one photo a week documented. I've chosen a really nice small and easy size and going there. So there will be, this is part of a playlist. You'll be able to watch the other videos on the playlist, and then you can get ideas and perhaps join in or give it a go. And if you do, leave a comment. I'd love to be able to see what you're up to and see whether this is an idea that will work for you. I know that there's 2 or 3 people in my wee group of sort of scrapbookers close to home when we meet together and do other bits and pieces that are quite keen to give this a go too. So maybe you are as well. Thanks Miranda for the idea, and I look forward to seeing what you have chosen this week in your 52 weeks of photos as well. Now a little bit about this little tool here that I'm using. I used to just peel off all the wee dots and things, but I've found this little pointy tip invaluable. Often I'll be using it with die cuts to poke the dies when they're sort of well cut through it, and here I'm just using it to pick up some of these gorgeous little acrylic embellishments that I picked up in a sale earlier this year. They're just wee florals and things like that, and they just look quite nice and tidy. So here we have my page. Thanks for watching. Check out the playlist.